Hello friends, let's have a brief discussion on IS1 presentation of the financial statements. IS1 basically has been effective on and after 1st January 2005. IS1 includes components of the financial statements, like in your financial statement, what are those components that you should include, how you should prepare your financial statement, which is second point, that is structure of your financial statements, and minimum content required in those structures. Like now you need to present, suppose now you need to present these components, then now the structure is this. Now in this structure, what is the minimum thing that or minimum content that you need to present? So which comes my next point is the mandatory minimum content requirement. And the next is the concept to be considered while preparing financial statements. Which are those concepts which has been laid down as a basics or the basic ladder from which the financial statements has to be prepared. Now let's move to the first point. What is the component or the structure of the financial statements? Okay, so we all prepare audit reports. If you see, our audit report comprises balance sheet, profit and loss account, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flows, and notes. Basically, we present our audited financial statements or we prepare our audit reports in this way because standard has been laid down, and in this standard the process or it has been notified that you need to prepare the financial statements in these formats only or in this structure only. So this structure is standardized so that every company around the world who follows IFRS will follow a common structure, which will help every other user or every other investor or every other holders to compare those financial statements. So as per IS1, a complete set of financial statement includes balance sheet, profit and loss, statement of changes in equity, cash flow, and notes. If asked which of these statement is more prominent or more important, then IS says or the IFRS says all these statements are equally important. So no statement has been given more advantage to other. While preparing all these statements, you have to take an equal amount of care and fair representation. Now, what are these minimum concepts that need to be considered while preparing financial statements? Now, as we know that we need to present balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow statement, equity, and this notes, then while preparing all this, we need to ensure that these basic concepts has been kept in mind or this basic policy has been followed. So the first policy is fair presentation and compliance with IFRS. As per IFRS, your financial statements are fairly presented if you comply with all the IFRS. The second point is going concern. It is assumed that your financial statements are prepared basis going concern, that the company is going to be there for the next foreseeable future or the company is not going to be liquidated. The third point that need to be considered while presenting these financial statements is accrual basis of accounting. You did not follow cash basis except for cash flow statement where a separate IS has been laid down, which is IS 7, that needs to be followed. The fourth point is consistency. You need to maintain consistency in classification of the items of the financial statements. The fifth point is materiality and aggregation. Every material item needs to be disclosed separately and cannot be aggregated. Immaterial items can be aggregated. The sixth point is offsetting. An asset and liability, though of same nature, cannot be offset unless and other specified by the IFRS. The seventh point is comparative information. You need to present a comparative information in your financial statement. That's why you will see whenever the audit report is prepared, there will be a comparative column there, which helps us to know that for this year the performance is XYZ, what was the performance for last year. Now let's move to the general content which is required as per IFRS. Financial statement must be clearly identified and distinguished from other information in the same published document and must identify the level of rounding used. If you see here, While preparing any financial statements, there will be mentioned, like for instance here, in millions. So it means that all amounts which are here would be in millions. Name of reporting entity and any change in name. If you see, all the financial statement which are prepared will have the name of the entity. Why? Because IFRS has said so. Whether the financial statements cover the individual entity or a group of entities. If you see here, it is mentioned consolidated statement of financial position. The fourth thing, the statement of financial position date. If you see here, the dates are mentioned. The fifth is presentation currency used. If you see here, SGD, which is Singapore dollar, is mentioned. So now you can relate that whenever any balance sheet, P&L, cash flow, or any other statement as stated in IFRS is prepared, this 5 basic content has been kept in mind. Why? Because IFRS has said that you need to ensure that in your financial statements, what is financial statement as per IFRS? Those five items which we discussed at top, that you need to have balance sheet, P&L, statement of changes in equity, statement of cash flow, and notes. So all these 5 comprise the financial statements. So your financial statement must be clearly identify the name of reporting entity, level of rounding used. Financial statements cover the individual entity or a group of entities, statement of financial position date, or presentation currency used. So all these financial 5 line items. The next, a few other points. Reporting period. Presumed to be annually, if longer or shorter, must disclose the reason for the change and state the amounts are not entirely comparable. Third, statement of financial statement is required if you see, comparative information is generally for a 1 year, but there are cases where you need to report a third statement of financial position. If you see clearly here, it's only a financial position. That means only a balance sheet. A third statement is required only for the balance sheet if there is a change in accounting policy, retrospective change, or change in accounting policy, restatement of the items, reclassification of the items, and any of these 3 line items if have a material impact on the opening statement. If yes, then yes, you need to prepare a third statement of financial position, which is a beginning of the comparative period. For instance, if your comparative period is 31st December 19, then the beginning of comparative period will be 1st January 2019. So you need to present it for that period. Now let's move to statement of financial position. So now what IFRS has laid down is you need to prepare your statement of financial position as current and non-current item wise separately, or in order of liquidity if more reliable. Even IFRS has defined what the current asset is. As per IFRS, current asset is something which is expected to be realized in entity's normal operating cycle. The second is held primarily for the purpose of trading, or expected to be realized within 12 months after the reporting period. Cash and cash equivalents. All other assets are non-current. So basically those items which are a normal part of a normal operating cycle, or item which is used for trading, or any item in your financial statement which is expected to be realized within 12 months after the reporting period is to be considered as a current asset. All other line items has to be considered as a non-current. Now let's see next current liabilities. Similarly, current liability is defined as a liability which is expected to be settled within the entity's normal operating cycle, held for purpose of trading, due to be settled within 12 months, for which the entity does not have a right at the end of reporting period to defer settlement beyond 12 months. All other liabilities are non-current. So IFRS has specifically defined that your statement of financial position balance sheet should be prepared in a way that there is current asset and non-current asset, current liability and non-current liability. Further, IFRS has went down and defined what the current assets means and what current liability means. Now let's quickly consider 3 scenarios which I have laid down here, which are basically related to classification between current liability or non-current liability. The first scenario is when a long-term debt is expected to be refinanced under an existing loan facility and the entity has the discretion to do so. The debt is classified as non-current even if the liability would otherwise be due within 12 months. Why? Because here it is expected that the entity will choose the option to refinance it for a period more than 12 months. The second is, if a liability has become payable on demand because an entity has breached an undertaking under a long-term loan agreement on or before the reporting date, the liability is current. Even if the lender has agreed after the reporting date and before the authorization of the financial statements for issue not to demand payment as a consequence of the breach. However, if the liability is classified as non-current, if the lender agreed by the reporting date to provide a period of grace ending at least 12 months after the reporting period, within which the entity can rectify the breach and during which lender cannot demand immediate repayment. So if you see here, the small difference between current and non-current classification is whether the event took place on or before the reporting date which is your balance sheet date, or event has took place after balance sheet date. So you need to carefully consider the event and the date and the balance sheet date, and then you need to decide whether the liability will be classified as current and non-current or non-current. Let's move next to the statement of comprehensive income and what as per IFRS it states. An entity presents all items of income and expenses recognized in a period either in a single statement of comprehensive income or in two statements, a statement of displaying components of profit or loss and a second statement of other comprehensive income. Entities must choose between function of expense method and nature of expense method. To present expense items, underline items within other comprehensive income are required to be categorized into two categories, those that could subsequently be classified to profit or loss and those that cannot be reclassified to profit or loss. If an entity categorizes by function, then additional information on nature of expenses at a minimum are depreciation, amortization, employee benefit expenses must be disclosed. Next is statement of cash flows. IFRS has not gone much deeper into it because rather than setting out separate requirements for presentation of the statement of cash flows, as says please refer IAS 7 statement of cash flows. The next is statement of changes in equity. IFRS states that the total comprehensive income for the period showing separately attributable to owners and the parent and non-controlling interest. The second point which has to be considered while presenting in statement of changes in equity is for each component of equity, the effects of retrospective application, restatement recognized in accordance with IAS 8, accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and errors. The third point is the amount of transactions with owners in their capacity as owners showing separately contributions by and distribution to owners. So no offset has to be done here also. The fourth point is for each component in equity, a reconciliation between the carrying amount at the beginning and at the end of the period, separately disclosing the change. The fifth line item is amount of dividends recognized as and distribution to owners during the period. You can skip this item if in case you are going to present this item separately in the notes in a detailed manner. The sixth item is analysis of each item of other comprehensive income. Alternatively, here also you can present it in the notes. The next point is notes to the financial statements. In the notes, every entity has to give a statement of compliance with IFRS. Second thing is significant accounting policies, estimates, assumptions and judgment must be disclosed. Third is notes are presented in a systematic manner and cross-reference from the face of the financial statements to the relevant note. If you see any financial statement which are prepared like balance sheet, you will see a number 1, 2, 3 and you will see the similar reference in the notes. Why? Because IFRS has laid down a standard format in which this has to be presented. The fourth point is additional information useful to users, understanding / decision making to be presented. Information, the fifth point is information that enables users to evaluate the entity's objectives, policies and processes for managing capital has to be disclosed. IFRS has one exceptional thing notified as well. As one says that in extremely rare circumstances, management may conclude that compliance with an IFRS requirement would be so misleading that it would conflict with the objective of financial statements set out in the framework. In such a case, the entity is required to depart from the IFRS requirement with detailed disclosure of the nature, reason, and the impact of the departure. Thank you.